Hi, welcome back to Stand With Us. I'm Roz Rothstein, and we're here with Barak Lurie talking about the Middle East ongoing crisis, and what possible solutions there can be for one little democracy living in a sea of non-democracies, dictatorships. What solutions, if any, do you think there might be?
Well, we were talking about what the problems were, and obviously now it begs the question, what are the solutions? And I think it is one solution. But first, before we go there, I want to commend Stand With Us in particular, because they constantly showcase what I love everyone to see, and I think everyone should see, how tiny Israel is from a geographical point of view and also from a population point of view.
Here, I will actually, while you're saying that.
Right. Just look at this map. And to see this small country in yellow there as somehow the creator of all problems,
all grief in the
entire
area.
Middle region, and not just that, but perhaps in the world.
In the whole world.
In the whole world.
All the grief.
It becomes a laughable situation.
Right.
And so, but it does beg the question, what is the solution to this? Well, in a sense, it's like saying, what is the solution to the hammer being forced on your head over and over again? The solution is to stop the hammer, right? And then you'll get some relief at the very least.
So, flash, Barak Lurie is going to stop the hammer.
Right. And the only way to do that, what is the hammer? The hammer
what is the hammer?
Is the evils and manipulations of dictatorship. It must end. And the only way to do that is to democratize. And the first answer, or first thought everyone watching now is saying is, oh, come on, Barak. That is a very difficult, tall order.
And we saw so much blood and, grief with the Arab Spring, and it really, where did it lead? Well, there was a lot of hope in the street, I'm sure.
There's a lot of hope, but just like a seed will not become a flower unless you actually give it the appropriate nourishment, you can't put a seed on asphalt and expect it to become an apple tree. It's not going to happen. It takes hard work. It takes care and nurturing. And that won't happen unless we decide that we recognize what the problem is. It's hard work. But just because it's hard work doesn't mean that we need to turn to some other solution. That's not going to work.
So I guess we're in the midst of the peace process now.
Right.
Mahmoud Abbas and Bibi, and there's all this hope in the air, and the United States is really pushing hard.
Right.
Do you have hope?
I have no hope. So long as the Arab countries continue to insist on their dictatorships, you'll have at best a peace with Abbas. You'll have a peace with the new leader of Egypt. You'll have a peace with the respective leaders of every Arab country. That's the most you could ever hope for, and you would only hope for a cold peace at best. That's a problem. That's going to be always a problem, and we'll never see a peace. What's that expression? Insanity is defined by doing the same thing over and over again.
And over, yeah.
And expecting a different result.
And expecting a different result, right.
And that's what we're doing, right? I mean, why do we think this time will be different? So.
Well, I agree with you. I think we're going to be hard-pressed to see any good results from this. But, everybody is committed and hopeful. I mean, Israel certainly is committed and hopeful. But, my problem is, having worked here in this field with Stand With Us for the last 12 years, it feels like, I remember Arafat, and I remember he would say one thing to the Western world and then go home and say quite another thing to the streets of Ramallah. And now you've got two Palestinian governments, you've got Hamas, and you've got, the PA, and I mean, where's this, who is the peace deal going to be made with? And we already know there's Hamas cells in the West Bank. So
that's right.
I don't get what this hope could even translate into. Plus, Abbas doesn't really have, control over the streets.
He doesn't have control over the streets. And not only do I put that democracy is the only solution to it, but, and you use the word hope. And as they say, hope is never a strategy. But not only that, but it's actually dangerous. If you advance a solution that does not really address the problem, you're going to have more danger, more violence in the streets. Proof of that has come time and time again. Gaza was a very good example. Now we see more violence from Gaza into Ashkelon and other cities in the south.
Right.
We saw what happened with the Oslo peace process. There were far more violence and suicide bombings right after 1993 than ever before. So unfortunately, Israel's only realistic solution right now is to batten down the hatches and just say, look, guys, we'll talk with you as soon as you democratize, and put the onus on them.
Yeah, but it sounds to the world like Israel is just putting everybody off, because the hope that anybody would democratize is less than the hope that maybe you can work out something with your next door neighbor.
You can.
Regardless of,
right.
whether it's Jordan or Egypt or...
But let's not fool ourselves. The point is that no matter what we do, we're going to have at best a cold peace like we had with Egypt, a cold peace, a slightly warmer peace that we have now presently with Jordan. But that's a very tentative situation.
But I think Israel would take that.
It
Israel
will.
would take a cold peace in a second,
Right.
in a heartbeat.
And that's what it should do. That's the best that it can hope for.
Yeah, that's the best it can hope for.
But understand that the dictatorships, it's a monster that needs to be fed all the time. And what you feed it with is hate all the time. You must have that.
You must have hate, and Israel is the little scapegoat.
That's right. And so, hence we see the protocols of the elders of Zion. Hence we saw what we talked about, the children being taught the hate all the time.
Right.
To be encouraged to think very evilly about Israel. But there are many good voices from those countries that say, reject that, and they say no to that. And we hopefully can...
I'd like to hear a few more voices,
Right.
but again, it's pretty scary. I heard from someone that if you don't show up in Gaza for a rally, a Hamas rally, that everybody starts to talk about you as a collaborator.
Right.
And so you better come out. So it looks like there's 50,000 people on the streets, not because maybe they're all on the same page, but because maybe they're afraid not to show up.
Right, I've heard about that too, and I know about that. It's a terrifying existence to live in those territories.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about those territories, especially in the Palestinian territories, is that they are perceived as the front line of the victimhood with Israel, right? And yet, the Palestinians actually live far better than any other Arab countries nearby. Why? Because they actually have a relationship to a limited extent with Israel.
Well, and in the West Bank, there's many Palestinians who are working at Israeli companies,
Right.
like SodaStream, where
Right.
they're making 5 times whatever they would make as farmers.
So true.
So this was great. Thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your theory with us. I'm Roz Rothstein for Stand With Us, and check us out. Go to standwithus.com. See all the great stuff we're doing. It's an international organization now. I'm the CEO and co-founder, and very proud of it. So join us. It's a movement, and we need you.
Thank you.
Thank you.